The cold morning wind cut at her face like an invisible blade. She stood in the middle of the dirt road, the baby sleeping heavily in her arms, wrapped in a faded blanket that offered little warmth now. Behind her, the pickup truck that had dropped her off kicked up dust and drove away without a backward glance. Ahead, only the horizon, a vast, silent, indifferent field. She had no home, no money, no one to turn to. Only that tiny life in her lap and the stubborn hope that God was still watching over her. She walked as far as her legs would carry her. She found a wooden gate with a farm name etched in old iron, and overcome by exhaustion, sat in its shade. The baby began to cry, and she cried with him softly, too weak to pretend courage. That's how the rancher found her, kneeling on the earth, trying to comfort her son with trembling hands. And that's how two broken lives began to mend, stitch by stitch, silence by silence, gesture by gesture. This is a story of new beginnings, of shelter, and of love that heals what life has broken. Subscribe to the channel for heartwarming stories every day. The rancher always woke before the sun. It was an old habit, cultivated over years of solitary work. He'd pull on his worn boots, make coffee without rushing, and head out to the corrals before the light touched the fields. The routine was always the same, and it was this predictability that kept him going. The big house, with its adobe walls and clay roof, was too much space for one man. There were empty bedrooms, windows that didn't open, curtains that collected dust. Ever since his wife had passed, taken by a cruel, swift illness, he saw no point in tending to more than was necessary. The kitchen, his bedroom, the porch, the rest was just memory. He wasn't old, but he felt it. His still dark hair was beginning to silver at the temples, and the lines around his clear eyes told stories of sun, wind, and held back tears. He had large, calloused hands, accustomed to fixing fences, holding reins, lifting bales. Hands that no longer knew how to touch another person. That morning, as he passed the main gate with the tractor, something made him stop. A splash of color on the dirt ground near the shade of the post. He turned off the engine and got down slowly, puzzled. It was a woman. Young, maybe early 20s, her face pale and etched with exhaustion. She was sitting on the ground, her back against the post, her arms holding a baby that cried weakly, as if even its cries were exhausted. She herself seemed on the verge of collapse. "Are you all right?" he asked, unsure if he should approach. She lifted her face. Her eyes were dark, deep-set, filled with fear and shame. It took her a moment to answer. I'm sorry. I didn't know where to go." Her voice was hoarse, trembling. The baby cried louder, and she tightened the blanket around its small body, trying to soothe it. The rancher stood there, looking at the scene that seemed ripped from a nightmare or an answered prayer. He wasn't sure which. "Where did you come from?" he asked, trying to keep his voice neutral. "Far away." She looked away. "We were left here. I have no home. I have nothing." He looked around. The road was empty. There was no other property for miles. Whoever had brought her here knew that. The baby continued to cry, now with more force, and the woman began to rock it, murmuring nonsensical words, trying to calm it. But she herself was shaking, her hands, her shoulders, even her voice. He took a deep breath. There was a part of him that wanted to close his eyes, get back on the tractor, and pretend he hadn't seen anything. But there was another part, smaller, older, more stubborn, that couldn't ignore it. "Come in," he said finally, his voice low. "Nobody sleeps out in the cold here." She looked up, surprised, almost suspicious, as if expecting a trap. "I don't want to be a bother." "You're not a bother." He extended his hand to help her up. "Let's go. The child needs warmth." She hesitated, then took his hand. He pulled her up gently, feeling the too light weight of that frail body. She stumbled but steadied herself. The baby was wrapped in a worn, faded blue blanket with holes at the edges. He guided her along the stone path to the porch. He opened the heavy wooden door and stepped into the spacious living room, smelling of old coffee and loneliness. She stopped at the entrance, looking around with wide eyes. "Sit down." He indicated the rocking chair by the fireplace. "I'll get the fire going." She obeyed without a word, sitting down slowly, as if every movement pained her. The baby finally fell silent, too tired to continue. He gathered kindling, lit the fire, and waited until the flames grew. Then he went to the kitchen, grabbed a pot, filled it with water, and put it on the wood stove. He returned with a mug of warm milk and offered it to her. "Drink." She accepted it with both hands, trembling. She drank slowly, closing her eyes, as if that sip were the most precious thing in the world. "Thank you," she murmured. He simply nodded and returned to the kitchen. He made soup, simple, with potato, carrot, and a piece of meat. He warmed old bread in the oven. He placed everything on a tray and brought it to her. "Eat." She looked at the plate, then at him, her eyes welling up. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to." He stepped back. "Just eat." And then he went out the back door, leaving her alone with the baby and the warmth of the fire. Outside, the wind continued to blow cold. He stopped on the porch, looking out at the fields, and for the first time in years, he felt something different. He didn't know if it was compassion, curiosity, or just the relief of not being completely alone anymore. But it was something, and that was more than he had yesterday. She slept in the rocking chair, the baby in her lap, wrapped in an old blanket the rancher had left there without a word. When she woke, the sun was already high, filtering through the cracks in the closed curtains. The house was silent, the fire out, but there was still warmth in the ashes. She got up slowly, her back aching and her arms numb. The baby was still sleeping, breathing softly against her chest. She looked around, trying to understand where she was, what to do now. The house was large but plain. Dark wood furniture, few ornaments, no pictures on the walls, everything very clean, but empty, as if someone had given up on making it a home. She walked to the kitchen. There was a note on the table, written in a slanted, firm hand. "There's bread and coffee on the stove. Use what you need. I'll be back at noon." No signature, no demands. She felt her eyes sting. It had been so long since anyone had offered her anything without asking for something in return. So long since she had trusted simple words. But she was hungry. And the baby would wake up soon, hungry too. She brewed the coffee, warmed the bread, and ate slowly, savoring each bite as if it were her last. Then she nursed the baby, sitting in the kitchen chair, looking out the window at the green field stretching as far as she could see. It was beautiful, peaceful, eerily quiet. When the baby was done, she placed him in a wicker basket she'd found in a corner of the room, makeshift but safe, and began tidying the kitchen. She washed the dishes, swept the floor, wiped down the table. Not because she had to, but because she didn't know how to do anything else but work to repay the kindness she'd received. The farmer returned at noon, as promised. He came through the back door, kicking off his muddy boots, and stopped when he saw the clean kitchen. "You didn't have to," he started. "I wanted to," she said too quickly. "It's the least I can do." When they finished, he wiped his mouth with the back of his hand and looked at her. "What's your name?" "I have no way to pay you." "I'll show you the room." Vera stood there, holding Davi against her chest, looking around. And for the first time in months, she allowed herself to feel something akin to hope. The first few days were strange. Vera woke before dawn, made coffee, tended to Davi, and tried to make herself useful. She washed clothes in the stone sink out back, hung them on the line, swept the porch, watered the neglected vegetable garden. Tomas watched from a distance, but never said anything. Just a slight nod when they passed in the hallway or the kitchen. She avoided looking directly at him. There was shame in her chest, not for what she had done, but for what she had become. A homeless woman with a tarnished name, depending on the kindness of a stranger. And there was fear too. Fear that he would change his mind. Fear that her past would catch up with her. One windy afternoon, while hanging sheets on the clothesline, Vera heard voices coming from the road. She froze, her heart pounding. Two women rode past on horseback, scarves on their heads, baskets strapped to their saddles. They slowed as they saw the laundry on the line. "Who's that?" one of them asked, without lowering her voice. "Must be some new hired help," the other replied. "Tomas has been needing a hand since he's been on his own. Hope he knows what he's doing." She was ready to go when Tomas entered the kitchen, bringing firewood for the stove. He stopped when he saw her standing there, the bundle in her hands. "Leaving?" he asked directly. "I don't want to cause trouble. If anyone has a problem with you being here, they can come talk to me." Vera stood there holding Davy, feeling the weight of his words. Then, slowly, she unpacked her bundle and returned to the room. In the following days, she made an effort not to give cause for gossip. She kept to herself, worked in silence, avoided going beyond the fence. But sometimes at dusk, when Davy was asleep and the house was quiet, she would sit on the porch and watch Tomas mending harnesses or reading by lamplight. He never asked her to join him, but he always left the chair beside him empty, and little by little she began to fill that space, without words, without explanations, just sitting there side by side, listening to the chirping crickets and the wind in the eucalyptus trees. It was a fragile beginning, but it was a beginning. The routine settled in like a stubborn weed, slow, firm, inevitable. Vera woke with the rooster's crow, made strong coffee and pan-fried bread. Tomas headed to the corrals before dawn, and when he returned for breakfast, he always found the table set. He never commented, but she noticed he ate with more calm now, as if the simple act of sitting at the table had regained its meaning. During the day, each had their own territory. He took care of the fences, the cattle, the repairs. She took care of the house, the garden, Davy. But there were moments when their worlds intersected. One morning, Tomas entered the kitchen carrying a sack of potatoes. "Harvested too many?" he said, setting the sack on the floor. "Can you put them away?" Davy grabbed his finger with surprising strength, giving a little giggle. "Strong," Tomas said, almost smiling. "Yeah, stubborn too. If you want to read to the boy." "Thank you," she said. That night she read to Davy while rocking him. Tomas was on the porch, fixing a harness, but her voice carried through the open window. He stopped working, just listening. It was a soft, lulling voice full of a tenderness he hadn't heard in years, and something inside him, something that had been dead, began to stir. In the following days, he started teaching her things: how to plant corn without wasting space, how to prune the rose bushes so they'd bloom in the spring, how to keep a fire going all night with just 3 logs. She learned quickly, attentively, asking simple, practical questions. And he discovered he enjoyed teaching. He liked seeing her eyes light up when she understood something new. One afternoon, while he was hammering a nail into the fence, Vera appeared with a pitcher of fresh lemonade. "Thought you might be thirsty," she said, handing him a glass. He accepted it, drinking it down in one gulp. Then he wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "You're good at this." "He likes it here," she said almost to herself. "And you?" She ran inside with Davy in her arms, soaked before she even reached the porch. Tomas appeared soon after, also wet, bringing in the chickens that had scattered from the coop. "It's going to be a bad one," he said, setting the birds in a makeshift pen in the kitchen. "Better shut everything up." Vera rocked him, humming softly, but he wouldn't calm down. "Let me see," Tomas said, holding out his hands. She hesitated, but handed him the baby. Tomas held him carefully, supporting his little head, rocking him gently. And then he began to hum, an old, low melody, wordless, just sound. Davy stopped crying, his eyes fixed on Tomas's face, curious. Vera watched, astonished. There was something profoundly tender about the gesture, a huge man with calloused hands, cradling a baby as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "He likes it," she murmured. "My mother used to hum like that," Tomas said, his eyes still on Davi. "When I was little." Tomas sprang to his feet. "What was that?" She could see Tomas's silhouette running through the rain, climbing onto the roof, trying to cover the hole with canvas. And then he slipped. Vera screamed. Tomas fell backward, hitting the wooden floor with a horrible thud. He lay still for a second, too long, before pushing himself up, stumbling. She didn't think. She wrapped Davy in his blanket, secured him safely in the bedroom, and ran outside. The rain was icy, biting. She crossed the yard and entered the barn, finding Tomas sitting on the floor, holding his left arm. "Are you okay?" Real, deep fear. "All right," he murmured. She helped him up, and together they went back to the house. In the kitchen, she prepared a cold compress with ice from the well, tied his wrist with a clean cloth, and made an improvised splint with wood and rope. She worked in silence, concentrated, her fingers firm and precise. "You know how to do this," he commented. "My grandmother was a healer. I learned from her." Tomas looked at his bandaged wrist, then at her. "Thank you." Vera took over his chores, feeding the livestock, fixing what she could, hauling hay. It was heavy work, but she didn't complain. At night, they sat at the table and talked more than they had before. Tomas told stories about the farm, his childhood, his wife. Vera listened attentively, but when he asked about her past, she deflected. "Where are you from?" he asked one night. "From far away." "Don't ask." "He is, and I'm taking him." "You threw me out!" Her voice rose, drawing stares. "Left me on the side of the road. You have no rights. I have more rights than you." He moved closer, lowering his voice. "A woman with no home, no husband, nothing. You think a judge will leave a child with you?" Vera felt the ground disappear beneath her. "I take care of him." "It doesn't matter. I'm going to petition for custody, and you won't have a leg to stand on." He released her arm and stepped back, leaving her trembling in the middle of the town square. Vera returned to the ranch in silence. Tomas noticed it immediately. "What happened?" "Nothing." "Vera, I said it's nothing." She retreated to her room with Davi, crying softly so as not to wake him. Tomas stood outside, unsure what to do. That night, she finally told him everything. Sitting at the table, holding her empty mug, she recounted it all. How she'd gotten involved with Lucio, believing he loved her. How he'd disappeared when he learned of the pregnancy. How months later he'd returned, claiming he wanted to be a father, but only to control her, to humiliate her. How he'd thrown her out when she refused to obey. "He wants to take Davy away from me," she said, her voice breaking. "And he can, because I have nothing. No proof I'm a fit mother, no home, no steady job, nothing." Tomas listened in silence. When she finished, he took a deep breath. "He's not taking him. You can't stop him." "I can." He looked at her. "If you're my wife." Vera blinked, not understanding. "What?" "Marriage, on paper, to protect you and the boy." He spoke slowly, choosing his words. "I have land. I have a home. I have a clean record. If you're my wife, no judge will take the child from you." "Tomas, you don't have to." "I know I don't have to, but I want to." "Why?" He was silent for a long moment. Then he stood, went to the window and gazed out at the fields. "Because this house was dead, and you brought life back into it." He turned. "And because I can't stand the thought of you leaving." Vera felt her chest tighten. "This isn't fair to you. Let me decide what's fair." She looked at him, at this good, lonely man who had offered her shelter without asking for anything in return. And she realized that somewhere along the way he had become more than a host. He had become home. "Okay," she whispered, "I accept." Tomas wasted no time. The next day, he went down to the village and found the priest, old Francisco, whom he'd known since he was a boy. "I want to get married," he said, getting straight to the point. The priest raised his eyebrows. "To whom?" "To the young woman at the ranch. Vera. The one who just appeared? She has a name and a history, and she's being threatened." Francisco clasped his hands, thoughtful. "Tomas, you know the village talks. They say she... I don't care what they say, but it matters. If you're marrying on paper, you need witnesses, documents. If someone contests it, it could get complicated. Then let it be complicated." Tomas leaned forward. "Father, I'm not asking for a blessing. I'm asking for help. That woman takes care of the ranch. She takes care of me. She takes care of her son. I won't let anyone take that away from her." The priest sighed. "Are you doing this for her good or yours?" Tomas paused. The question caught him by surprise. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I know it's the right thing to do." Francisco nodded slowly. "All right, I'll do the paperwork, but you'll need witnesses, 2 at least. I'll find them." Tomas left the church and went to the hardware store where he found his closest neighbor, old Miranda, a quiet but fair man. "I need a favor." Miranda listened to everything. In the end, he simply nodded. "Count me in." The second witness was harder to find. Most of the neighbors had been avoiding Tomas since Vera arrived, but there was Donna Irene, the village midwife, a woman with white hair and steady hands who had seen it all. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. "I am." "And the young woman?" "She needs protection. I can give it." Irene studied his face. "You like her?" It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Tomas didn't answer, but he didn't deny it either. "I'll do it," Irene said finally. "But if you hurt that girl, Tomas, God and I will hold you accountable." "I won't hurt her." Then it's settled. Meanwhile, Lucio wasn't idle. He showed up at the ranch 2 days later, unannounced, banging hard on the gate. Tomas came out to meet him, crossing his arms. "Get out of here. I came to get what's mine. There's nothing of yours here. The child is mine. You abandoned the child and the mother." Lucio smiled bitterly. "That's what she says. But who's going to believe her? A woman alone, no family, nothing. I have a job, I have a home. Any judge will give me custody." "Not if she's married to me." Lucio's smile faltered. "What?" "You heard me. Starting tomorrow, Vera is my wife, legally, and the boy is my son. You won't lay a hand on them." Lucio turned red. "You're making this up. Ask the priest or the county clerk. It's all registered." Lucio advanced, but Tomas didn't back down. They stood face to face, the tension palpable. "I'm going to contest it," Lucio said through gritted teeth. "I'll say it's a sham, that you're taking advantage of her. Try it." Tomas took a step forward. "But don't come back here, or I won't be responsible." Lucio spat on the ground and got back into his pickup truck. But before he drove away, he turned back. "This isn't over." And then he was gone, leaving a trail of dust. Tomas went back inside. Vera was in the kitchen, pale, holding Davi. "He'll try again," she said. "I know. Tomas, maybe it would be best if I left, before this gets any worse." "No." He took her shoulders, firm but gentle. "You're not running away again. We'll face this together." She looked up at him, her eyes full of tears. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you deserve to stay." He brushed a strand of hair from her face. "And because I want you to stay." She closed her eyes, resting her forehead against his chest. And for the first time, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could have a future. The wedding was simple, in the church sacristy, with only Father Francisco, Miranda, Donna Irene, and Davi as witnesses. Tomas wore his clean Sunday shirt, dark trousers, and polished boots. Vera wore a light blue dress Irene had lent her hair pulled back in a loose bun. Davi was in her arms, quiet, playing with the dress's drawstring. There were no flowers, there was no party. but there was something more important: commitment. The priest read the ritual words, quick and direct. Tomas responded firmly. Vera, her voice trembling but clear, "I do." When the priest declared them husband and wife, Tomas didn't kiss her. He simply touched her hand, a light, brief squeeze but full of meaning. "It's done now," he said. "Yes?" She smiled, weak but genuine. Miranda and Irene signed the registry, and the justice of the peace stamped the document. Now it was official. Vera had a last name, David had a father, Lucio had nothing left. Mrs. Irene hugged Vera as they left. "If you need me, just send word," she said softly. "For anything, whether it's a delivery or trouble." It was justice. "You gave me my dignity back." That night, Tomas set up a small bed for David in a corner of the living room, near the fireplace. Vera thanked him, but then hesitated. "Do you want me to sleep in the back room? Or, but if you change your mind?" But then he started responding, lifting the boy into his arms, playing with him. Vera watched, her heart aching with tenderness. One afternoon, while she was doing laundry, Tomas appeared with a package. "For you." "It's beautiful." He brought a juvenile court inspector, a thin man in a grey suit with a tired expression. Tomas and Vera were in the garden when the car stopped at the gate. She turned pale. "It's him. I'm here to investigate a report regarding the situation of a child who is reportedly residing here." "It's fake," Lucio shouted. "They got married just to block me." "You left me on the side of the road, pregnant with nothing. You have no right to show up now and claim to be the father." "Lucio," the inspector sighed. "There's an official record of abandonment, and there's a legal marriage. Unless you can present concrete proof that you are a present and capable father, I have no reason to remove the child from this home. You'll regret this, I promise." When everyone had left, she and Tomas sat on the porch, David sleeping between them. "Thank you," she said. "Stop thanking me." "I guess we did." Tomas held him with exaggerated care, as if the boy were made of glass. Vera watched from the porch, smiling, her heart so full it ached. "He's going to fall," she said, not taking her eyes off them. "He won't. I've got him," Tomas replied, but his voice was tight with concentration. Davy took 3 wobbly steps and landed with a giggle, sitting on the ground. Tomas let out a sigh of relief. "See? Didn't fall." "He did, though." "But slowly." Vera laughed, coming down from the porch to join them. She sat on the grass, scooping Davy into her arms, kissing his forehead. "You're getting so big, you know," she murmured. Davy babbled something unintelligible and grabbed her necklace, pulling. Tomas sat down beside them, stretching out his legs. They stayed like that for a while, the 3 of them, just enjoying the warmth of the sun and the comfortable quiet. "Tomas," Vera said after a moment, "do you regret it, letting me stay?" He turned his face to her, surprised. "Never." "Why?" "Because your life was so easy, uncomplicated, and I brought all of this." He was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he reached out and touched her face, slowly, as if memorizing every line. "Vera, before you, I wasn't living. I was just existing." He ran his thumb along her cheek. "You brought me back. And Davy did too. You two are the best thing that ever happened to me." She felt her eyes sting but didn't look away. "I love you," she said without thinking. The words came out simple, true, inevitable. Tomas froze. Then he smiled, a slow, genuine smile, full of relief. "I love you too," he said, "for a long time now." She laughed, crying at the same time, and he pulled her close, kissing her forehead, then her lips, slowly, with all the tenderness in the world. Davy let out a squeal of protest, squished between them, and they pulled apart, chuckling. "Sorry, little man," Tomas said, lifting the boy into his arms. "Your place is here too." That afternoon, Vera made lunch, while Tomas fixed the fence around the orchard. Davy slept in the hammock Tomas had hung on the porch, swaying gently in the breeze. When Tomas came back, sweaty and dirt-stained, he found the table set and Vera waiting with a smile. "You're beautiful," he said without thinking. She blushed. "I'm covered in flour." Still. They ate slowly, talking about plans, planting more corn, fixing up the barn, maybe getting some sheep. "And Davy?" Vera asked. "When he gets older, he'll want to go to school, maybe move to the city. Then we'll help him." Tomas shrugged. "But as long as he wants to stay here, he'll have a home. And if he doesn't want to come back, we'll visit." He took her hand. "Vera, no matter what happens, we'll be together, the three of us." She squeezed his hand, feeling the solidity of his touch, the certainty of his commitment. That night, after putting Davy to bed, they went out onto the porch. The sky was full of stars, and the air smelled of damp earth and flowers. Tomas pulled Vera close, and she rested her head on his shoulder. "You know what I was thinking?" she said softly. "What?" "That God didn't close a door. He just brought me to the right gate." Tomas smiled. "Maybe, or maybe he knew I needed you too as much as you needed me." They stayed like that, arms around each other, looking out at the fields that were now theirs, the house that was now a home, the life that was now complete. And Vera knew with absolute certainty that she would never be alone again. Because starting over isn't about going back to what was. It's about building something new, something better, something stronger. It's about letting love heal what life has wounded. It's about opening your heart to the unexpected and discovering that sometimes the home we've been searching for was waiting for us all along, on the other side of a farm gate. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive new stories every day. What would you do in their place? Comment and share with someone special.